power motion picnic hour, sometimes with special guests. Say your name, special guest.
Weird Al Yankovic.
This is the power motion picnic hour.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Power Motion Picnic Hour. As always, I'm your host, Dave, and as always, alongside me is
Trevor.
Trevor. What's happening? How are you?
I'm excited, Dave.
Are you okay? What are you excited about?
Well, I'm just excited to be on pod. I'm excited to learn what's about to happen.
Yeah, I'm excited to be on pod as well. Like a little Instagram video of Frank Zappa that I just saw 20 minutes ago, where he talked about how when he plays a guitar solo, there's just a little space that he gets to decorate. And that's us for the next 40 minutes as well.
That's right. Yeah. Podcasting is what happens when you're not doing life.
Yeah, exactly. It's what happens if you want to be like Zappa, but you never bothered to learn the guitar. And he was quite good.
Yeah. No, he was very good.
Yeah.
Technically incredibly talented. There's no disputing. Stylistically, quite varied, and some people, I understand the detractors, but I'm a fan overall.
Yeah, I find I enjoy defending Zappa and saying why I like him more than I usually enjoy listening to him. But I do like listening to Zappa, but there's like 900 Zappa albums.
There's a lot. Yeah.
And I don't know. I feel like I listen to Overnight Sensation 50% of the time.
Yeah. 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 I'll listen to, I'll throw on a good burnt weenie sandwich here and there.
All right.
A little live action. Listen to takes from some of the later stuff. There's some nuggets in there on Joe's Garage, for sure.
Sure, every album's got one good song.
There are even like nuggets and moments within songs. Like sometimes I won't like a large part of the song, but then there's just a part that rips.
Yeah,
in Zappa especially.
Like I have Billy Was a Mountain on vinyl, which I think I got because it was like $1 many years ago. And yeah, like Billy Was a Mountain is got like 1 minute of great stuff in there.
Yeah.
in that song. That's just like a one long song.
Some of the stuff, it's just impressive. Like I remember being really into this Live in Helsinki album that I had gotten, well, at this point many years ago, Power Motion V1 era.
Oh wow.
Or even earlier. But yeah, like some of it's just sort of gratuitous, but it is incredible that they're actually doing what they're doing, like in sync live. Like it's an incredible display of musicianship, some of which is fun and nice to listen to.
Yeah, exactly. Sometimes you want to even listen to it. I feel like we got to bring this on track a little bit. Do you ever run to Zappa?
I have. Yeah, that's where I think I was gifted a gem off Joe's Garage on some like smart shuffle or something recently.
Oh, nice.
And yeah, I'm not usually throwing on Zappa proactively these days, but when that came on, it was one that I hadn't heard quite as much, and I was really into it.
Was it Catholic Girls?
No, I'll see if I can. If you're interested, I can see if
that's the song that popped in my head. But yeah. Anyway, there's a song on Joe's Garage. What's it called? Lucille. What's it called?
I'll tell you in a sec.
Okay, is that the one? Is it Lucille has messed my mind up?
Lucille has messed my mind up. I don't think that's the one.
Oh.
Watermelon and Easter Hay is the one I'm thinking of, which starts with, I think, like a rather offensive talking opening, or maybe the offensive part is when I identified it and saw which album it was from, I was like, oh yeah, and there's Frank Zappa with blackface.
Yep, exactly. Makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right where this offensive piece would fit.
Yeah. a potentially offensive. I mean, you could take offense with really any part of this song, from its title to the perhaps untoward speaking part that may or may not be at the start, the album cover itself, and then the rather sultry guitar playing, which I find is the part I really like. Like he
Yeah.
definitely finds the space and spreads it out in that one a bit.
Yeah, that's what he's best at for a guy who spends a lot of his career singing like Weird Al Yankovic. uh,
Yeah,
he
yeah,
sure is a great guitar player.
yeah. So I ran to that. I'd say that runs.
All right, there we go. We stayed on track really from what seemed like what's it called? What do we call it when we go off topic? One of the a tangent.
One of those tangents.
Yeah, what
Yeah.
seemed like a tangent was actually our song of the week.
Yep. Yep.
All right, it
So,
runs.
and it runs. I saw somebody give an impromptu gear shed at the grocery store the other day.
Well, let's hear it.
This guy walks up to I just sort of overhear this from the register next to me, and there's a guy that the conversation starts. I'm training for a marathon, and and then and then like to somebody who never asked, and then he proceeds to tell her about the various layers he puts on for running this time of year,
Okay.
even though it was a rather warm day, and describing a little bit of his training regimen.
Today was pretty warm. I'm on a few days off because of knee pain from too much running. So I was at the gym today doing strength
You
training,
can
and
That's good,
I was
really
ta
good.
I was doing upper body strength. And I was it's not helpful. And I was talking to some of the guys who work there, telling them about my marathon prep, and they decided I'm good. I'm good to go.
I think you're good to go too.
Yeah.
From what I've heard, what you've described to me, it seems like you're putting in a lot of miles right now.
I did put in a lot of miles, and I had to kind of take it back a little bit. I think I'm in the taper now. I'm 2.5 weeks away, so I guess I should be in the taper.
Would you say you were doing like 50 plus mile weeks?
No way.
Okay.
I was doing my
For some
biggest.
reason in my mind, when you were doing these like 20-mile weekend runs, I was like, oh man, you're probably putting in like, I guess that
No.
would be a lot. Yeah. You're probably doing like what, 30, 40?
Yeah, I think I was doing 35 mile, 38 mile week might have been my biggest one. Something like that.
That's up there. For me, I'm like super happy if I can get that much.
That's like, I mean, that's a lot. And that would end, a week and a half ago, I did a 20-mile run in Central Park, and that was pretty wonderful and felt good actually. Like didn't feel wasn't having a hard time at the end, you know?
Yep. Yep.
Could have kept running for I don't know, a little while. So that's a good sign, right? That's what because there's a little bit more that I'm gonna have to keep running.
Yeah. Yeah.
But then when I wanted to do another one last weekend, and I couldn't. I didn't have it in my legs, so I'm kind of taking it easy.
Well, it's good that you're listening to your body. The worst thing that could happen is you get injured, right now. And
I
so
know.
you'll be good to go. Um, how are you feeling?
Feeling good. Feeling excited about the marathon. I think I'm gonna PR.
I hope you will. I've got my money on a PR for
Yeah,
you.
I'm gonna have to look up what my Providence time was. I can't even remember, but I'm excited to go to LA. I'm excited to run down Hollywood Boulevard and wherever else it goes. It's like
You'll have to check in on special guest Brendan while you're
that's
there.
right. That's right. I'm gonna be running right by his house. I'll check in with him a little bit before I head out, so hopefully we can make some plans to meet up. Well, I think I was supposed to teach him how to throw a baseball, or he was gonna bring me a diaper.
I think one or both.
Yeah,
It was all on the table.
maybe we
Yeah,
could do both.
you can maybe check in with him on how his planning and training is going for his trail run.
That's true. Yeah, because he had a big year in running coming up as well. Hopefully.
We'll see if he liked our ideas, if he's investigated them.
One of my big concerns about this race is one of my problems, and I mentioned this in our episode number 2, Providence, is that part of my problem running in front of a crowd is that I'm a bit of a ham. And I like so, but one of the good things about Providence was it was a pretty small time marathon. LA is like a pretty big event, I think. Like I think there's gonna be
Yeah.
a lot more people. It's not like New York or Boston, but it's just a notch below that, I think. Um,
Yeah, I'm sure.
so there's gonna
Yeah.
be like people lining the streets, like and I'm gonna be expending a lot of energy unnecessarily to entertain them or whatever my brain thinks I'm doing.
Maybe maybe you should, I mean, not that you need practice. This is just kind of how you live your life, but I was gonna say you could throw some peace signs at just some people on your runs around New York and
Yeah.
just kind of get used to interacting and
Throw some windmills.
yeah,
Yeah,
do
do
some
some.
Townsends.
See, I don't know how I don't know how I'm gonna control myself, but I have to try.
Who did who did Pete Townsend say he got the windmill from?
I thought he said he saw I thought it was Keith Richards warming up,
Ah, okay.
right?
That would make sense.
Yeah, I think
But
I think Keith Richards was doing it backstage, he said, but he was just like stretching his shoulder. Like he wasn't playing. He just had a guitar on and he was like loosening up.
oh, nice,
I
nice.
think if I remember it, yeah. Um that's something we could ask Dave Rawlings about if he's ever a guest on the show.
That's true. Yeah. And I guess that's a good reminder for um, any of our newer listeners and maybe listeners who have similarly forgotten to just go back and check some of the old episodes and see where you referenced that previously. Although I think you added more information here. I think this is a more thorough
Yeah.
discussion of the
Yeah.
topic.
It is a good idea to go back and listen because the show is incredibly self-referential. It's
Yeah. Yeah. So as much as you sort of get brought in the loop quickly, you might also want to catch up a bit at some point too.
yeah, I think that's a good idea. So anyway, how's your week been? How's your week in running? Or I guess you're maybe 10 days in running. We've been spacing episodes out about 10 days these days.
Yeah, I'm working on it. I'm not running as many days a week as I'd like, but when I am getting out there, I feel like I'm putting in solid runs. Like I'm getting
Well, good.
5, 6 mile runs in here and there. So not a lot of weekly volume, but happy when I'm out there. Motivated to do more running, sort of when I can structure it a bit more regularly. Even if it's small running, I think that was one of my goals is to, with the treadmill, is just like hit like 20, 30 minute runs if that's all I have time for.
Yeah.
Start building that back in. So yeah, it's been good. I did take a tip from special guest Christina,
Oh, let's
who
hear it.
had talked about how when she coaches, parents and busy people with jobs and stuff that, just sort of find time anywhere. And she had said something about running at like sports practices and stuff. And so I had the idea. My oldest young apprentice of the show, assistant race director of the Krampus Classic, and its official photographer, he has basketball practice every Sunday down
Uh-huh.
at the Quincy Y. So, and they have a little 200-meter track that circles the basketball courts. And I've been like looking up at it for weeks, and I just finally she sort of gave me the very simple thought that I should just go up there and run.
Yeah. They're playing basketball inside?
It's 4 courts. Yeah, they're playing indoor basketball,
Is the
and there's
track
a
indoors or
track
outdoors?
indoors, like the next level up.
Oh, okay.
So it's like above the court. So I can run around and I can also sort of check in and watch what he's doing, like in his corner every lap. And I think I did 52 laps uh,
That's pretty
last
good.
Sunday,
That's pretty
which
good. So
which
that's like
felt pretty good.
that like
Uh,
6 miles?
yeah, mailbag math. There you
Yeah.
go.
Our mailbag math
Um,
question of the week.
yeah. Um, but the thing I noticed, I think, is the day after, um, like my left side was like sore in an imbalanced way. And it's because when you're like, for me, running on a track, when I'm used to running on trails and going in all these directions and lateral and everything, to just
Yeah.
run in a very like short direction where you're basically turning like fairly sharply, like a decent amount of the time, um, like is kind of like unnatural. And it sort of like hit my like left glute and stuff in like a weird way.
You got to rotate the tires.
I feel like I should rotate that. Like I guess I just feel like I shouldn't run like that too high volume too frequently.
Yeah. Or I guess you could, I mean, can you run the other way or would you be running into people?
I'd be running into people.
Okay. So other people are running.
Yeah. So maybe what I could do though is there other people are running. There's walkers. There's some people just standing and looking at the game below. So it's like it's a bit of
Huh.
you have to stay on your toes. But I could do something like more just like strides on the straight parts and then take it slow. I could mix it up with all kinds of stuff. But
How many lanes are up there?
3.
Okay, that's pretty good.
Run, pass, walk are what they recommend.
Oh, I like it.
Yeah.
Are any other parents running, or are these unrelated to the basketball, the other runners?
I saw one other parent walking it the first week I went out there,
It's a good idea.
listening to something.
I like that. Yeah, I like this general idea that Christina gave us, and that you and that one other parent are getting in on.
Yep.
And it makes me think of sometimes when I'm at work, 'cause I have a primarily remote job. Sometimes you'll be at a meeting. I don't know if you ever see this, and a coworker will be. Everybody's got their fake backgrounds now,
Hmm.
on their Microsoft Teams or their Zoom. Not you and I right now. We can see each other's houses, which is makes it more real, which is why this works.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
everybody's got their fake backgrounds. But every now there's some people you'll get in a meeting with every now and then who are on a treadmill. Do you ever get one of those?
No, I've never seen somebody on a treadmill.
Really? Yeah. And so, well, anyway, I've seen a couple different people, maybe even three, who are they've got the background on, but they're clearly just walking on a treadmill while they're doing this like Zoom meeting, which is a good idea. It's a good it's a good use of time if you ask me. But I was thinking, I don't have a treadmill at home, and that's not where my life's at right now. But I could see that time coming one day, except it would be me just like running fast on the team
Yeah.
in the Teams meeting on the treadmill.
Well, the thing is, it like I feel like when I've often been doing calls during the day, but when before it was video, I would walk around a lot of the time on
Yeah.
the calls, and that's a lot harder to do now with sort of expected to be on video a lot of the time,
Are you on video most of the time?
most of the time.
Wow, yeah, not me.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm actually the one who usually puts it on, and then I feel bad about it. And people like reluctantly like, oh, okay,
Yeah.
I'll put the video on. But because yeah,
That's it. Yeah, I've never seen somebody on a treadmill. I've heard about it, but you see it
well,
quite often.
I mean, you got to imagine with video off, people are on all sorts of things. But well, that's fun too, because sometimes you see someone accidentally turn their camera on and they're just like driving.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, it's funny when you see people in the cars.
I love that. Yeah, phones in the cup holder.
Yeah, yeah. Well, um, lest we spend the episode on primarily Zappa and Zoom anecdotes, I do have a little sort of, I don't know, maybe it's a new segment. I guess it's a bit of a race recap from, I guess we've done race recap, but those are more of our own races. This is a famous trail race that just happened.
Oh, let's hear about it. Let's hear the updates.
And it's got some tie-ins to the Power Motion Picnic Hour itself.
Awesome.
So it's the Trans Gran Canaria, which some listeners may know, others who may not. It's 126-kilometer race across, I think it's one of the Canary Islands,
Okay.
perhaps. But it's an island, 26 miles or 126 kilometers, like 88 miles or something, and like 22,000 plus feet of elevation gain. So it's like a pretty serious ultra run.
Okay.
Um, but there's also different lengths. So special guest Katie, congrats, won the vertical kilometer,
Whoa.
which
Amazing.
yeah, which is like I think it was like basically like 5.5K distance, but you go 1,000 meters up in that distance. So you're basically just running uphill the
That
whole
sounds
time. So it's
insane.
uphilling a bit like Matthew was describing. Um,
Yeah, that
so
sounds
yeah,
steep.
it's steep. And the impressive thing about that is she's also doing and winning these like 100-mile races and like, and I think she ran like a 50-mile UTMB that she won or came in second. So she's doing like all distances and just crushing it out there. So
So if there's a trail running decathlon on the horizon, she would be a contender
she's
to win that.
she's a great contender. So that's Katie. Special guest and dear original popular runner, Jim Pergolesi, is probably aware of the race. Um, and Katie also crewed for Zach Miller, who's a famous trail runner.
Oh, cool.
So she was involved in his seventh place finish of the long distance. And lastly, Shen, our good friend of the pod, Jing Shang Shen,
Oh, that's right.
came in a increasingly symbolically important fifth place, which we talked a lot about. You and I have had some fifth place finishes too. So
It's a meaningful position to end in, and particularly exciting to hear a once nearly guest of the pod
yeah,
getting
so
a fifth place finish.
the Power Motion Picnic Hour well represented at Trans Gran Canaria this year. Congrats to all of our friends and special guests and popular runner.
Yeah, and congrats. It's a popular runner who I think you said probably knows about it,
Yep, yep.
but did not compete.
Did not compete as far as I'm aware.
Well, way to go, everybody. We're proud of you. And as always, when anybody is affiliated with the pod accomplishes something big, I like to take some credit for it myself. So because we are kind of a society over here, right?
It's definitely a society, a community of sorts.
It's a win for the pod. So
Yeah, yeah.
I'll take it.
So did you have any mailbag?
No, I didn't have any. I've been pretty dialed in trying to get ready for this marathon and pretty focused, but like that's all that's been just about everything I've been doing. Even though, like I said, I haven't been doing much running in the last few days. I went to go out to do a long one on Saturday and the body said no.
Yeah,
And it ran a 10K and said I'm going to do the long one on Sunday. And went out, started heading out towards to do the long one on Sunday and said, you know what? This is going to be a Stairmaster day. But I had to cut the Stairmaster short too because my knee was just like really talking to me.
yeah. Well, you gotta listen to it.
Yeah, so what was supposed to be a scaling of the Burj Khalifa ended up just being a 150 stories on the Stairmaster, which
That's
not
pretty
nothing.
good.
It's
That's
not
pretty
bad.
good. That's
Yeah.
that's more than I did.
Yeah, it's not nothing, but yeah. Well, anyway, it is what it is. And then I got 2 days of rest, and I'm gonna try running again tomorrow.
Nice, nice.
Yeah,
Well, now that you're in the taper, what was it that we said back in Providence? This is when you or no, is this when you just start eating mashed potatoes?
yeah, exactly. This is
Yeah,
mostly a, a misplaced carb loading period.
yeah,
Where,
yeah.
well, yeah, I'm gonna be in Florida in a couple days, so I'm planning an attempted 11-mile run down there.
Awesome.
Oh yeah, so 11 miles, 9 days before the marathon, and then taper even further. Or 9 days? No, it's like 2 weeks. That's like 2 weeks before. Yeah. Um, 16
And
days. 16
I
days before.
I'd say don't be afraid to just sort of like get out like real super light too in the days leading up. Like you might not want to go full taper. That would be my unsolicited, partially informed advice.
Okay. Don't go. So go out the day before.
I think you'd benefit from doing like 2 light miles like here and there in the
Okay.
days leading up.
Yeah, I got to go check out the whatever the exhibition at the start of the race the day before to pick up my number and get a bunch of free samples of goo and stuff like that or whatever's going on at the starting line day before party.
Yeah, yeah. I think what I'd say to further my advice is
Uh-huh.
keep it like, keep you go by feel. So, I don't know, like if I'd go roughly like I'd shoot for like a 10-minute mile pace.
Oh yeah, sure.
Super, super like, yeah, just get in the zone.
Yeah, I don't even, I'm not even doing that. I don't even I've got a plan. I'm doing our very own female gear shed testing correspondent is coming to LA to run her first marathon.
Hmm.
So I'm in an unseated corral, as is she. So I'm just gonna start running with her. And I'm just whatever her pace is, that's my pace. And then if all goes well, eventually at some point I'll accelerate.
Unleash.
Yeah,
Nice.
but I'm gonna try to start real easy and not burn myself out. And then
I
if it's
think that's
feeling
smart.
good, speed up later
I think
instead
that's
of
smart. Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know what her pace is, but
Good strategy. No, I think that makes sense. I mean, yeah, from what I know,
well, and
as
that's how,
as, as someone who's never run a marathon,
It's also how that's also yeah, but I appreciate the coaching advice. It's also how a lot of my training runs have gone, which is I go out on one of her long training runs, and it's at some point with a few miles left, I cut loose. Like that's how the 20 miler went. The 20 miler is I ran 13 miles with her, and then I just you know, turned it on.
Yeah, I mean, it's again sort of, I guess, reflecting on some of Coach Friend's early wisdom when I was building up running again, and a lot of it was just like, yeah, 80% in, I think it's like sub 145 or something heart rate,
Mhm.
whatever, zone two, like maybe it's sub 150. Um, and you just keep doing that for like, it's like a cumulative just build of that. And then like when you're ready, when you need to like let it out and unleash it, you go and you like go up tempo and you go harder and you just like spend it all. But the way to train for that is not to just do that all the time, not to just go hard all the time. It's actually go like pretty easy and then you let it go.
Yeah, I've done a good mix of easy runs and a few hard ones. I mean, like on days when I've been stuck in the gym, I've cranked up the incline on the treadmill and cranked up the speed, you know. And then for the outside, the one thing I think I just didn't do enough of in Providence was I don't think I had enough hills. And
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
I think I've put tons of hills in.
You said you started doing like some incline on everything, even if it's just small, right?
Almost, yeah, almost all the time. And then almost all my outdoor runs are in Central Park now, which is pretty hilly. And the 20-mile run was in Central Park. So that's like, and that last 10K was in Central Park. And so I've just been hitting the hills.
I,
I don't know how hilly LA is.
so, do you want some more advice?
Yeah, definitely. I'll take whatever I can get. I don't know what I'm doing out here.
uh, I'd say another thing is kind of where you are now and what you just described. Throw in some downhills on the next couple weeks because that's actually a different set of muscles in motion and can be bizarrely fatiguing if you haven't trained that a little bit too. So
Well, there is downhill in Central Park, so I do have like a bit of that. Um, yeah, there was
yeah, something to offset the like heavy incline at the gym. Just do like focus going hard downhill in Central Park.
yeah, we were doing. Can't remember what run it was. Oh, it was one run we were doing, me and female gear shed testing correspondent in Central Park. And there's like at the very northern part of the park, it's like a long, steady downhill for a very long time. And then a little flat at the top of the park. And then like kind of the hardest hill of the whole Central Park is right there as you start heading south again.
Mm-hmm.
And and so it's nice because you kind of like get all your energy back on that downhill before you then have to start, you know, running that hardest hill, which is followed by like three more like medium kind of hills. So it's actually
Mm-hmm.
probably that's the toughest part of running Central Park. But like I said, usually you recharge while you're coming down that hill at the top. But on one of our laps, I realized I had to relieve myself, and so I had to duck out into the trees. So
Mm-hmm.
I was just like, all right, I'll catch back up to you. And I did that at the top of the downhill. So I just had to run like really hard down
Yeah.
that downhill. And then I caught up to her like just a little bit before it starts going up again. So I never really got to like rest.
Yeah, yeah.
But that was actually probably a good a
That's
good
probably
training run. Yeah.
that's a good training run. I think the thing is you can't do that all the time. And I guess reflecting back on my Kilkenny Ridge race last year,
Classic. That's a
the
classic race.
the ill-fated Kilkenny Ridge, where in my training, like basically up to that point, I would never like send it that hard on downhills because I needed to be careful of my knees and like
Yeah.
preserve them and not smash them up. And I had like maybe gone a little too hard here and there and had to like pull back. So I would often use like downhills for like the easiest running on like training runs. And
Uh-huh.
Kilkenny, it was like did pretty well out of the gates, and it was like basically a I don't know 3,000 foot climb ish to start like the first however many miles, call it like 6 7 miles, and then because they had to alter the course, due to the hurricane, rather than continue across the ridge, you basically run back down about, I don't know, 2,000 feet of that.
Mhm.
And I just smashed myself up on that downhill and then had to go like 7 miles, like in and out of this very gradual decline down and then back up. And, just destroyed myself like to the like the down. I'm like, man, this is when I need to be like making time, because downhills is
Yeah,
also where I could go faster, like,
sure.
because I don't
Take
have like stamina to just go charge it uphill, but like I can send the downhills.
could take advantage of the long legs as well.
Yeah, that was my race strategy. And because I couldn't do the downhills, like on the final descent where you come down like I don't know, the last whatever it is, 1,500 feet or so, and it's just like downhill most of it. That's when we just proceeded to get passed by like so many runners.
Was that
So
the
I'm
race
just
where
like
the
hobbling down.
old timer with like ski poles was walking by you and said he felt lightning fast?
Correct. Not an old timer, just
Oh,
like one of like the top, I don't know, five like men or something, or
uh-huh.
five racers, like going like fast,
Oh, okay.
at least relative. Even like, although at the time he made that comment, yeah, just kind of walking with the poles, but granted, like at the top of like the
Sure.
leaderboard.
I pictured him being like a million years old when you told me.
No, it was kind of, I don't know if it's funnier or not, but yeah, it was like, I don't know, like a 30-year-old,
Oh,
guy, like kind of just cruising along.
oh, nice. He knew what he was doing.
Just not what most objective observers would think of as like running, just
Yeah.
like walking with his poles. Um, but yeah, for us Fortissimo pluses, training for those downhills. So that's my very long-winded sort of word of caution, advice, really sharing in the interest of you not making the same mistakes I have
Okay.
and our dear
Well,
listener.
well, I'm heading down to Florida this weekend, so I'm gonna try to do 11 miles outdoors. So hopefully I can find somewhere nice. I looked it up already. It's gonna be in the 70s, so I'm doing a little weather training. That should be similar to LA.
Yeah, good. Yeah, a little heat training.
Yeah.
I'd also, I mean, at this point, I guess I must implore our more knowledgeable listeners, even our peers who in the more knowledgeable category of running podcast, to weigh in here and correct any of my what was potentially really bad advice right there.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Especially if any of it's potentially dangerous. We didn't. Who knows? Like I don't know. You don't
If
know.
anybody, yeah, just happens to be listening to the right uh the right strand or brand of regional stoner rock to somehow make sense of that, um please write into the mailbag, let us know.
Yeah, we'd be interested to hear.
Yeah,
Well, I mean, I think it sounds like I'm pretty good. I think I'm in a good place.
I think so too.
Yeah.
I think we just talked about, for several minutes, just ways to sort of round out the package a bit.
I got to figure out what I'm gonna wear. That's the most important thing.
Oh yeah.
Because I've been running so much outdoors. I've been running a lot in as we've talked about before, running tights. And now that there've been a couple warmer days and I've switched back to
Yeah,
regular.
you
I'm not as into the regular shorts, so I got to see if I can find some half tights. Can you run a marathon in half tights?
yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Okay. I mean, I
I
guess I ran
think
20 miles in full tights, so.
I mean, I think that's what like Kipchoge does.
Oh, okay. I'm not, yeah.
Maybe, maybe not.
I'm not scoping those guys for the outfits as much because I always just the same way I don't look at their shoes because I figure like whatever they're wearing, that's
It's
not for
just the
me.
wrong, it's
Well,
the
for me,
wrong thing. Yeah.
yeah, it's certainly the right thing for an elite runner, but for me, like whatever they're doing is not relevant.
Right,
Uh,
right.
like
Yeah.
I was telling like a former coworker friend about like when I got the Brooks Adrenaline GTS
Yeah.
shoes, and he was like, oh, he's like, that's what I wear every day. Like that was like just his walking around shoe.
Oh, nice,
I was
nice.
like, oh, I bought those to run a marathon. So like, but the point is like what I'm wearing is more like that, like just what somebody's wearing for comfort.
Yeah, yeah. Well, no, but there's also like, yeah, I think you see that a lot. There's a lot of running shoes as like fashion. I even saw, um this is like a thing too. I saw some like hardcore trail running shoes, like Solomon, like I don't know, cross treks or something. These like they almost look like bike shoes. They've got big claws for
I
like
like that.
mud, and they're stiff, like, and just some guy like brand new just walking around Manhattan in these, like,
Really nice.
yeah. Um, like, man, you're wearing down those lugs.
I have a pair of hiking shoes that I wear around Manhattan, and I specifically bought to travel in
Yeah,
because it would just be a kind of an everywhere shoe. But they told me at the REI that they're an urban hiking shoe. It's the urban edition. So
Urban
that
Edition. Yeah.
yeah, of whatever brand it is. I don't know what it's called.
Uh,
Yeah.
well, you'll gear shed it at a later date.
They're cool. They're very cool. They're brown.
Um, I'd love to see him. Maybe you can send us a picture.
Yeah, we could put that up on the gram.
Yeah, yeah. Um, so I do have I guess I should have done this much earlier.
Oh, because
Bit of
yeah,
a bit of a correction. Yeah, we're kind of running down,
let's
aren't
do it.
we?
We're very low on time, so let's do it, and then we'll wrap things up.
All right. So I expressed surprise last week in our interview with Matthew when he said that he went east west, and I was like, that doesn't sound right. And when in my mind I had just mixed up visually east to west. Of course, east west was the right way to go.
Okay, so
I
yeah,
think that, or not the right way. There's no right way, but like the more common way to run this FKT, which I think is typically established. Like, I don't know. I guess some of them you can go from either direction technically, but that's like the way that FKT is done.
that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna do the New York Marathon in reverse. I'm gonna start in Central Park and run to Staten Island.
Ooh, we could do our presidential hut traverse in reverse. That might be interesting.
What about a Boston Marathon in reverse? And we run to Hopkinton.
We could do that too.
Yeah, with that does that make? I guess you need roads closed down to do that, though, right?
To do it like without a lot of frustration, I think. Yes.
And I don't think we could get away with it on the day of.
No, no. Not like that time I crashed the Brooklyn 5K and
That's
later
right.
later donated to the New York Roadrunners, I will say.
So it's all even. Great organization.
Great organization.
I'm proud to be affiliated.
So I had a little idea.
Hmm.
I don't know. Do you have any other business?
No business, and we have a little bit more time, so let's do it.
And I think we're fairly running low on our random musings. Uh, so this was going to be, maybe I should save this for when we have a special guest.
Well, maybe this is some kind of teaser for that.
It's a teaser. So if the next special guest happens to be listening, that's okay. They'll be prepared. But
Yeah.
there's like, have you heard these hot takes that are done on some podcasts where like a topic is tossed out and then you have to just quickly weigh in on it?
I don't think so, but I like the
An
idea.
opinion? Yeah. And we can just sort of come up with our own branding of it, like quick questions or something like that.
Yeah, quick question, fast takes,
Fast
um,
takes.
strides for takes.
Yeah. Like respond immediately.
Yeah, yeah, I like it. Should we do it now or no?
I don't know. I'm not really prepared with one, but if you are, I guess
No.
that's sort of the spirit of it.
Yeah, I don't think I really thought of one, so I guess we'll have to come with those. Oh, do you have one?
Um, Running shoes as everyday shoes.
Yeah, I do it all the time. How about you?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I also do running shoes that I've like worn, and I also even do some that I'm still running in occasionally, very occasionally.
I just have one pair of running shoes that I like the way they look, and so that's kind of like my main everyday shoe. But I want to try to buy
Mhm.
more running shoes that look a way that I would enjoy wearing, and unfortunately, I've only ever owned one, or I'm sure I had one years ago. My Asics gels that I got in 1991 or two.
Mhm. Probably before even the pumps.
I think they were immediately after the pumps. I think last time
Ooh, after.
I said Nike Pegasus, but until next time.
Onward.
This is the Power Motion Picnic Hour, your favorite of the few, with a special guest?
Frank Zappa with blackface.
This is the Power Mode.